President, what I've heard most in this period is that Hong Kong has gone into a ridiculous state. How come that Hong Kong has plunged into a situation? What should we do in the future? What is ridiculous is that the legal professors and politicians will teach people to break the law to go for democracy, and they can disregard court injunctions, and they should not be condemned for blocking the roads and so on. And the police officers are there to uphold the law and enforce the law, and they are being scolded day by day. So we are fighting for democracy, so there should be a majority rule. But how come that the occupiers don't go or follow the wishes of the majority of people? Why do we have to sacrifice Hong Kong's stability to exchange for what the students call an ideal tomorrow or future? What is most ridiculous is Mr. Raymond Wong's motion. When he made his remarks, Mr. Wong said clearly, and that was reported by the media, he has actively participated in the occupation since 28th of September in Mong Kok and Admiralty, and he had the chance of being arrested. But then his motion was to investigate into the police handling of the incident. So the perpetrator is suggesting that the police, the law enforcement body, should be investigated into. Now, other people are facing the same ridiculous situation. Then they are opposing a comprehensive study, inquiry into the incident. The pan-democrats, shouldn't they not take part in the debate, or else they will be accused of practicing double standards? Now, what's most ridiculous is that Mr. Benny Tai, Professor Benny Tai, and also Alex Chow said that they would turn themselves in after the movement is over, and that they are being accountable to the rule of law, and they are not breaking the law, a rule of law. They are really trying to display the spirit of the rule of law. Well, if this logic stands, does it mean that a murderer can turn himself in, and after he kills a person, and then he can manifest the rule of law? So does it mean that one can pursue his ideal and then puts himself above the law? I think the pan-democrats have a very strange logic today. Now, the Occupy Central movement is a major incident, and they are just supporting the Raymond Wong's motion of inquiring into the police handling of the Mong Kok incident on the 3rd of October. This is a very narrow scope. But then everything else should not be inquired into. I found this most weird. Since so many local media and international media have reported on Occupy Central movement, and there has been involvement of external forces in providing resources, Mr. Wong Kok Hing, Ms. Starry Lee have cited many examples, and they have also displayed many media reports, and they reflect many people's suspicion, and they want to find the truth. So why can't we get to the bottom of the truth? Now, pan-democrats said that it's not possible that external forces are involved in the movement. Now, the pan-democrats used to give high regard to media reports, but then they said that these media reports are fabricated now, and so they are practicing double standards. Now, if what Mr. Lee Chak-yan said is true, that they are they have a clear conscience. So why are we afraid of conducting an investigation? We want to get to the bottom of the truth. This is not an excessive demand, I would say. Well, there are maybe many stories behind Occupy Central movement. How can the pan-democrats be so sure that their external forces are not involved? Mr. Ronnie Tong, Mr. Quat, Dennis Quat, and Mr. Lee Chak-yan opposed the comprehensive investigation. And we are not saying that we would investigate into religious bodies, churches, and so on. Mr. Andrew Leung's motion is very clear, is that we should appoint a select committee to conduct a comprehensive inquiry into the incident since 28th of September this year, including its organization and planning, funding sources, the public order and safety problems caused by the incident, the impacts in various aspects of Hong Kong, the government's handling of the incident, and all other related issues. Well, all these sound very reasonable to me. I think we should proceed with the inquiry. Mr. Ronnie Tong said that why should not we spend more time to deal with other matters, and then why should we be going down the route of political censorship? I agree with that. I hope that the legislature can focus its discussions on livelihood issues. But then the pan-democrats are now staging a non-cooperation movement. Yesterday, there were 12 quorum calls, and that took up 2 hours and 15 minutes. And on this non-contentious establishment of the ITB, only 2 votes from the pan-democrats supported the establishment. Well, are they working for the good, overall good of Hong Kong in the long term? Students said that Hong Kong's future belongs to them. They are willing to make sacrifices to fight for a freer and democratic Hong Kong. I can feel this, I share their sentiment, and I know about their ideals. And they think that those who don't support them are selfish and that we don't understand them. But the fact is not this. The reality is not this. We adults want to protect them, and we're struggling within ourselves. On the one hand, we want students to be passionate and hopeful about Hong Kong's future. And at the same time, we want them to understand that we can't give up the freedom, the rule of law, the prosperity and stability of Hong Kong. And we don't want to make sacrifices, giving up Hong Kong's good and to fight for what you hope to be the democratic Hong Kong. Over the past few days, 1 million people have signed up to ask for reopening of the roads and restoring law and order and supporting the police's law enforcement actions. A grandma told her grandson, the grandson said that they don't have to follow traffic signals, because his grandson said that, well, as long as you put up your fight, and then you can flout the law. And this grandson is only 4.5 years old. So I would like to say to the students, the future doesn't belong only to you, but all Hong Kong people, and belong to people who have worked over the years to build the prosperity in Hong Kong, this generation. And we also, the Hong Kong society belongs to the young kids, and Hong Kong also belongs to China, the mainland, and we should be accountable or answerable to Hong Kong's development. President, when we heard that Benny Tai would go back to his workplace because he is, he can't put up with it anymore. Well, that makes us, that is so laughable. Now he triggered this movement, he launched this movement, and there is no end in sight, and the students are still sleeping on the street, and you want to return to your normal life. Now, some people told me that they have to spend extra 1.5 hours to go to work, and 30 days, that amount to 48 hours. So, well, time is priceless. And how do you compensate these people? Well, how come that you can go back to your normal life, and why can't we go back to our normal life? A doctor told me yesterday. He said that he and his family don't support Occupy Central, and his daughter, university, said that I don't deserve. Well, you don't deserve to be my dad. Well, this doctor saved many lives over the years, and today he doesn't deserve to be somebody's father. This father is so heartbroken, and the family feels that they've lost a daughter. Now, to fight for what they call true democracy, should we family relationships be tarnished and broken? The movement has been here for over a month. Roads are blocked, and there have been conflicts and confrontations. We are in a very dangerous state. Well, luckily, there were no major fire incidents, and well, we are fortunate and lucky, uh, and we have and we owe this to the police who have exercised much self-restraint. And I would also like to thank members of the public. And yesterday, a 15-year-old teenager tried to use homemade explosives to blow up the police station, and fortunately he was stopped. And this, well, if we allow illegal acts to exist, then it will encourage people to commit illegal acts. Now, if someone breaks a window, the glass of window, people may follow suit and do the same. Now, if the movement lasts longer, there will be more crimes. Well, you can imagine that if the 15-year-old teenager was not in the police station and he was in the occupied areas trying to detonate the explosives, well, the consequences can be very dire. So how should we clear the sites? We don't want to use violence or force to clear the sites. Well, this is not the time for us to insist on our own ways and means, and we must forge a consensus through democratic means, through dialogue, communication, and so on. The occupiers are using threatening tactics and saying that they will not give up, they will not withdraw. This is not good, and this is setting a bad example for us. And this does no good to the democratic development of Hong Kong. I hope the students would will not be turning a deaf ear to proper advice. They should genuinely listen to others, and they should take responsibility, and they should make rational and good decisions. President, I think it's time that we should give up the movement, give up our hatred, and it's time to reconcile with friends, restore order in the family. We should investigate into the incident. And also, the government and various sectors should study the aftermaths of the incident and try to come up with measures to resolve people's grievances and build a better future for Hong Kong's young generation. This is a difficult time for Hong Kong, and we must get united, and we must work for the good, generally work for the good of Hong Kong. Now, this motion on inquiring into the police handling of the incident on the 3rd of October will only deal a further blow to the police's morale. It will not do any good to the incident. Well, many members of the public are very angry, and they have emotional problems. Some even can't go to sleep. Well, have insomnia. I hope that people will not get too angry, or else they will get into a chaotic state, and they easily commit mistakes because of that. Now, on the contrary, we should be more positive, say good words, do good deeds, and pass on the positive energy to others. Hong Kong is a very blessed place. This is our home, President. We should try to build a harmonious society, and if we work hand in hand, I'm sure that we can overtide all difficulties. So I speak and I